What's going on, everybody? Cover 1 is back for week 10. I'm your host, James Bouligny. A little different setup this time. Obviously, got my man Chadwick on the right.
How's it going, guys?
Or left. And then Paul Harris.
What's up, everybody?
And Nick Thompson.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, Nick? Before we get any further into it, though, we do have to thank our title sponsor, Whataburger.
Whataburger's Buffalo Ranch Chicken Strip Sandwich is back.
Chicken strips. Chicken strips. Chicken strips.
Ranch.
Ranch. Buffalo Ranch. Monterey Jack cheese.
The Whataburger Buffalo Ranch Chicken Strip Sandwich. A beautiful masterpiece.
All right, everybody, we have a big game this week for Central. They're 0-3 in district, right?
Yeah.
So they have to win these two games, and they probably need a little bit of help to make the playoffs. But before we even talk about the playoffs, they had to beat Odessa this week.
So this game is going to be not as interesting as people might think. This was, of course, last year, this was a game that went to overtime that ended up that 71-70 absolute heartbreaker of a loss for the Bobcats, where Odessa High went for two instead of kicking an extra point in overtime to beat them. But coming into this matchup, I think Central is playing a whole lot better than they were last year, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Don't let that performance last week against Midland High shy away from the fact that Central's secondary has gotten much better, and that's Odessa High's bread and butter. They were a very dangerous team on the offense before their starting quarterback went down, and now with their backup in, I was at the Odessa High Friendship game last week, and let's just put it this way, it is not the same offense. Friendship's defense is by no means top tier in the district. And
yeah, they're not their offense.
No, yeah, and Odessa High only managed 7 points against them. They just kept turning the ball over, lots of punts early, and once Friendship got up, it just kind of went away with it. So I think the Bobcats actually have a chance this week to make a definitive statement saying we are not the same team as we were a year ago, and I could see Central winning by as much as 3 touchdowns.
I think a big part of it, though, and Paul, you could probably piggyback off this, is stopping that run. They gave up a lot to Gavin Black. Elijah McCoy had a record-setting, game last week. How do they stop this run?
Well, those are two of the best backs in West Texas, period. I mean, two really talented backs. Odessa High doesn't have a running offense like that, and like Chadwick was saying, they lost their quarterback 2 weeks ago, and then so they had to move their top receiver to quarterbacks. That hurts their passing offense. And ultimately, Odessa High, both teams are 0-3 in district. Central's been in every game. They've lost every one by less than 10 points. Odessa High has not. They've lost them all by 24 or more. So I really feel like Central is a pretty considerable favorite here.
Right, and I mean, they do have a couple talented receivers, but that quarterback has to get them the ball.
Well, and that's one thing I noticed in that Friendship game. The throws were just a little bit off or a little bit short. Some of those balls that the receivers were open, because they were short, now all of a sudden they're a 50-50 jump ball pick opportunity for the defense. So I just like Central's chances in this one.
I like Central in this one, too. I think they have a good chance at winning this one. And you got to stack wins, though. So go get a win this week, and then worry about next week.
Exactly.
The other team, though, in San Angelo, Lakeview, we're recording this on Thursday before the Lakeview game. They're playing in Big Spring. Lakeview lost the game last week in kind of a weird fashion, but they've already made the playoffs. They're in a 4-team district, so they're playing for seeding. So they need to get 2 wins over these next couple of weeks. Got to beat Big Spring, though. How do we see that working out?
I think they will beat Big Spring. I picked Lakeview. They've had some tough losses this year. They've had a good rivalry with Big Spring over the years. Last week too. Lakeview kicks a field goal to put it in overtime. They had a chance, run into the referee in the end zone. That's a tough way to end it. But again, they keep putting up points. They're in games, and I feel like this is a good opportunity for them to get a win.
Avizo's playing quarterback. He's playing extremely good for them. They've got Braylon White outside. They've got Rodriguez outside. So they have a couple weapons there. And I definitely think Lakeview can make this a really good game. And you're going to be there.
That's right. Yeah, I'll be there. I'm looking forward to it. I'd like to see them get a win on their home turf, last home game of the year for them. And then, they'll be an underdog against Andrews, but this is a good chance to not have to draw Stephenville in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, they're they actually have Brownwood this week, so pulling Stephenville, if you had to pull between one of those two, you definitely want to pull Brownwood because Stephenville is
top tier this year.
Right, yeah. They have a good chance to make that state game, at least state semis.
Right.
But let's go ahead and move on. Chadwick, you want to throw Angelo Bolt real quick for all of our Central and Lakeview coverage?
All right. So, since 1994, Angelo Bolt and Industrial Supply has served the Concho Valley for 30 years and counting. Angelo Bolt is the go-to place for fasteners, power tools, air compressors, safety equipment, and everything in between. Chances are Angelo Bolt will always have what you need when you need it, and in that odd chance they don't have exactly what you're looking for, they'll find it fast. No request is too big or too small for Angelo Bolt. Located at 808 Warehouse Road, where customer service is their top priority. Thank you, Angelo Bolt, for bringing us all our coverage throughout the Concho Valley.
All right, moving on. Lubbock Estacado at Lubbock Cooper Liberty. This is for district, right?
Well, Lubbock Estacado has performed far above expectation. Whatever happened in that Canyon Randall game, Coach Eric Ward, he spoke to me after the game, and he was like, watch out, we're building something here. Because that was the first game he believes that their team truly came together and played as a team. And since then, they've just been going on a tear. Like, they're just running through their district. And they're not just like 1 or 2 score wins. Some of these are 3 and 4 score wins, you know. So because of that, they're undefeated in district, and they have a chance this week. If they win tonight, they lock up the outright district title all for themselves. With that being said, they're playing Lubbock Cooper Liberty, and this is a brand new team. It's their first year as a varsity, and while they have talent, the oldest team members on there are all juniors. They don't have a single senior on this team. That's why they couldn't play varsity last year, because they were all sophomores. You know, so young teams make young mistakes. They have some freshmen and sophomores in starting roles on that varsity level too. So they have flashes towards it could see that Lubbock Cooper Liberty could be very, very talented, but I don't think it's going to be enough for an Estacado team that has really embraced the power run style that Coach Ward brought, and I just think that it's going to be too much. But I mean, you're going to be there, Nick. What do you think about the matchup?
I think 2 words: Bobby Ross. He has gone off. I think this last game he went over for 5,000 career yards with Estacado last week. We saw him play against Levelland. I think their first district play game, and I want to say they were down majority of the game, but they ended up coming back and winning it. That was pretty cool to watch there. They're solid, like you said. The run game is crazy. I think that if they try some things out, they at least have him in their back pocket, so to speak. Now he plays open linebacker, so he's on both sides of the field. But I think Estacado just needs to control the ball and honestly just lay off the penalties. They've won a lot of their games with low penalties. The only few games that I feel like they've lost were from just the high amount of penalties. Even Eric Ward said that himself. But like you said, Liberty's kind of come out rough, 0-4 with their young team. They won their first district game against Perryton, from what I looked up. But but I think Estacado is going to take this one.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to Floydada and Post. You know, Post is playing extremely well.
Shocked everybody.
They're undefeated.
Yeah.
You know, in that game next week between Abernathy, that might, be a really good one. But let's talk about Floydada. What do they need to do to get a win here?
So Floydada is kind of having a season that Post had last year, playing a little bit below expectation, but still capable in spurts of showing what you got, So Post has a very strong run game. They struggle a little bit in the passing game, and then they rely on their run game to set up deep shots, basically. Okay. And so, I just blanked on the young man's
Vergara,
name.
right?
Yeah, Vergara. Yeah, thank you.
It's right there on the paper.
Oh, well, I wasn't looking at the paper.
All right.
But anyway, Ian Vergara, he is their running back, and the one game that I've watched from Post this year, the young man had like 5 touchdowns, and he ran for over 150 yards in the first half. Like, I think he ended up with over 200 yards in that victory. But Post is pretty much in control of this district right now. And they have some weaknesses in their own secondary. Like, I do think that if Floydada is going to take advantage of anything, it's going to be just throwing the ball deep over the middle, like, a post route, like splits the safety, something like that. Like, bring a tight end over the middle, something like that. I don't know if what Floydada's capabilities are at the tight end position, but I do think that there's going to be space in the middle of the field, because Post likes to really pin their ears back and get after the quarterback if they're throwing the ball, or really likes to stuff the middle of that offensive line. So I do think that Florida has a chance because Post doesn't play perfect football, but like they're a strong team this year, and I still cannot believe that they're not ranked.
Well, maybe they'll make some noise in the playoffs for sure.
For sure.
All right. Moving on, though, let's thank our next sponsor, the Great American Cookie. Great American Cookie says, good luck, Bobcats. For your next party, get a cookie that's like a cake. Birthdays, Halloween, or even Dallas Cowboy games, Great American Cookie is located at Marble Slab, next to Cinemark at 4553 Sherwood Way. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Grape Creek and Merkel real fast, Paul. Grape Creek is playing good football this year. They need to get a win here because it's all about seeding for them now. They don't have a game next week. This is the last game of season 4 for Grape Creek. They need a win, and they have a good shot at getting it over Merkel.
Yeah, I think so. A tough matchup against Wall last week, and then they had their chance with Stanton to try to get the number 2 seed. This should be for 3rd place. Grape Creek's, they've been in a lot of games. You look back at their schedule and impressive performances against Reagan County, San Saba, even those were losses, the big comeback they had. And Merkel, I believe, is still winless. So, if Grape Creek just takes care of business and runs the ball, plays defense like they're capable of, I think they're headed for 3rd place in this district.
Well, not to mention if Grape Creek takes care of Merkel and then Stanton drops a game.
Well, that's the thing. Stanton has Coahoma and Wall coming up, and I don't think anybody's stopping Wall. Coahoma has kind of been one of those weird teams where they have all the weapons, but they just haven't really put it together. Grape Creek can hit the playoffs at a decent seed, and the district they're playing that first round is the Alpine, Crane, Odessa, Compass, Tornillo district. We could be looking at a Grape Creek playoff win.
Yeah.
So
that's exactly what we were talking about earlier.
Yep.
If Stanton loses against Coahoma and Wall, then all of a sudden Grape Creek finishes 2nd in that district.
But you can't get too far. You got to take care of Merkel first. Grape Creek, go take care of Merkel, and you have some help next week, get decent seeding, and go get yourself a playoff win. All right, we got 6-man matchup. Robert Lee, Veribest.
As basically a playoff game before the playoffs,
Right.
Second and final playoff berths on the line here. They're pretty comparable results. Both were close to Water Valley, but not close enough. You got 2 awesome athletes, 2 of the best 6-man players in the area, really. Brenner Sherwood from Robert Lee and Bryce Martin from Veribest. Should be some awesome offense in this game, and I feel like it's going to be close. I mean, there's no reason it shouldn't go all the way down, to the 4th quarter.
I feel like Water Valley in that district has kind of flexed their muscles a little bit, and they kind of beat Veribest, and Veribest has just had trouble getting over that hump because the past few years they've kind of been the odd man out.
Right.
So, if Veribest gets a win here, though, they could very well be, that second team.
Yeah, and then that'd be tough for them to take 3rd place in that district back-to-back years. 7-win seasons, no playoffs, so there's a lot riding on this, for both teams, but definitely Veribest would love to have all the success, get rewarded.
Yep. All right, and moving on, Toller and Brady. That is a Peyton Brown versus Johnny Menefield game right there. Brady is traveling to Toller. Toller was, state runner-up last year? Mm-hmm. They rode Peyton Brown, and the kid looks like an offensive lineman at the 2A level. He's like 6'2", 200-something pounds, and he just pounds away on defenses. So Menefield, it's up to him to I'm not saying it's all on Menefield because I've talked to Jaron Roberts, and he says it's all about the team. So if one guy goes off, another guy gets all the glory. That's what the team's all about this year. So it's really going to be that defense versus this Toller offense in that game. And then Sonora and Cristoval. Sonora has had kind of a weird year, and so has Cristoval. They returned their entire offensive line, they returned their running back, and they've kind of had trouble getting things going. And in Sonora, they dropped one to Reagan County. They need to get a win here. I think Aaron Segura can get it done at quarterback for them. And they definitely have the weapons out wide and the speed to kind of, take over games. And I do believe they have the athletes, but what do you think? Right.
So, they only scored 7 points last week, but they were inside the red zone 6 times. And then they've got turnovers. They're not able to finish it off. So, I mean, they're there. They've got the offense. If they can just finish the drives, they can put up big points like they have a lot of the year. If they take care of business against Cristoval, the top 4 in that district's probably set. If Cristoval can upset Sonora, then it gets pretty crazy for 3rd and 4th place after that.
Yeah, and it's like the UIL hated the Concho Valley when they set up
I know.
these districts, because that first round district they're playing is Stanford, Cisco, Hawley, and probably Anson.
Yeah, that's a really tough district.
Yeah, so getting that as high a seed as you can. They played Reagan County last week, and they're getting into the red zone 6 times, and just not being able to finish. That still says something about your team. Like, hey, we can get there. We just have to finish this game.
Yeah, that game could have gone a lot differently, and then Sonora's got district, title hopes still.
And it was 14-7 for the longest time, and then in the closing minutes, Chris Johnson broke off a long run for a touchdown. So, Sonora definitely has the talent to be seated pretty high, but they still have Ozona in that district too.
Right.
All right, let's move on though. We got to pay some bills. For any banking need, go to Texas Bank. Proven local strong is how customers refer to Texas Bank, one of the most successful banks in the Lone Star State. Texas Bank is a full-service bank with over $2 billion in assets, and they operate in 16 locations from El Paso to Dallas-Fort Worth, including 3 right here in San Angelo, located at 2201 Sherwood Way, 1815 North Chadbourne, and 4206 College Hills. Texas Bank staff are your friends, family, and neighbors. All right, let's move on to Players of the Week. We had some good ones from the Concho Valley. We had a really good one from South Plains.
Yeah, but specifically, I wouldn't even single it out. Like I said, I was at that Friendship Odessa High game last week, and the 2 wide receiver all-stars for the Tigers showed why. Like, Leighton Stone's already a D1 athlete. Right. Chase Campbell's going to be a D1 athlete. In the first half, Chase Campbell had 3 touchdowns. Leighton Stone had a touchdown and over 100 yards receiving. That game was 42-7 at the half, or 42-0 at the half. So just big shout out to those guys. The Tigers look dangerous this year. That defense still needs a little bit of work, but this is the first year that the Tigers have been in a position to where if they run up against an Allen or a South Lake Carroll, it's not just going to be a 42-0 blowout. Like, it might be an actual shootout where they might not quite be there to win, but that offense is dangerous.
Right. Yeah, I want to keep it with dangerous offenses. Let's look at the Miles Bulldogs. You had Dylan Medina and Cooper Ellison. They went up for over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Those guys are instrumental. And, hey, Tevin Meade came back.
Yeah, that's huge for Miles.
That's a big deal, especially for Liam Yancey, sophomore quarterback out there. Who they play? Winners this week?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Winners and then Roscoe. So, yeah, they can get really good seating there too as well. Yep. And then we got to go to
Texas football.
Yeah, we got to go back to Ozona. It seems like they have a bunch of Mr. Texas footballs down there. Yeah. Michael Daniels, 15 carries, 148 yards, 2 touchdowns, 9 catches, 164 yards, and 1 touchdown over Sonora.
You want to talk about doing it all?
Yeah, he did everything.
Yeah, that was against Colorado City, I believe.
It was. I think it was.
Yeah,
too.
It's
okay, Chadwick. You screwed up the paper. Doesn't matter.
Anyway, but one thing I want to mention about Michael Daniels, the fact that he has stepped up. Like, he's not the starting running back.
Yeah, Christian Burrell went down. Yeah, I mean,
and he's still putting up numbers like that. That's got to be real confident if you're an Ozona Lions fan or a member of that team, especially if Villarreal gets healthy by the time playoffs roll around. Then you have both those guys. That's a 2-headed monster. It's going to be hard to stop.
Well, and they're going to need a loaded gun when they go into district when they go into that first round because, like I said, that first team is extremely, extremely hard. Moving on, let's pay some bills real quick. We're going to go to Jim Bass.
$59,999 for a new Ford Expedition XLT. Get a full-size 3-row seating SUV for the family that needs a lot of room. Equipped with a moonroof, second-row captain seats, along with many more features, make it the absolute perfect SUV. You can only get deals like this at Jim Bass Ford, Houston Hart and Arden Road, or shop 24/7 at bassbunch.com. Or use this QR code. Yep, the one on my shirt.
All right, we're moving on to college football right now. We got Texas Tech at Iowa State. Chadwick, you and Nick went to TCU last week and went home with your tails between your legs.
Yeah, had our hearts broken, man. With that being said,
I'm sorry, Nick.
Yeah. What a game. It was back and forth. Tech was down by a lot early. Turned around and they came out and looked like they were going to blow TCU out in the second half. Starting quarterback Baron Morton goes down. True freshman comes in, Will Hammond, and he leads the Red Raiders on 2 straight touchdown drives and then an ensuing field goal drive. So you put up 17 points unanswered. You think that you pretty much have that game in the bag, but that explosive plays continued to bite the Texas Tech defense, and that's how TCU came back. They scored 21 unanswered to end the game, to basically take the lead. Tech had one last chance. They drove down the field, took like 4 minutes off the clock. TCU was going to have a minute or less on there after Tech kicks a field goal, but on about a 3rd and 7, a designed quarterback run with a true freshman quarterback ended up as a fumble. So who could have saw that one coming? But because of that, Tech never got to attempt that field goal, and TCU basically got one first down and kneeled it out. So it was a very disappointing loss for the Red Raiders, and Coach McGuire said as much at his press conference this week. He says, I hear how frustrated everyone is, and he says, believe me, no one wants to win more than me. I will figure it out, and we will get it fixed. And that's what you want to hear from your head coach on a team that basically 2 weeks in a row are 2 games that you shouldn't have lost. Laid an egg against Baylor, and then you have a big lead on the road, and you choke it away. So Texas Tech on the road against what are they finally top 10, Nick? Iowa State.
They are 11, I think.
Yeah, well, it's a crime. They have one loss, and meanwhile you got 2 lost teams in the top 10. But whatever, SEC bias is real. But anyway, this is going to be a really tough matchup for the Red Raiders. They never play well in Ames. Even when Patrick Mahomes there, I think they had like a 42-point loss at one point. But that being said, me and you were talking about earlier, Nick. I'm weirdly optimistic this week. I think the Red Raiders pull off the upset.
This is going to be true Texas Tech fashion here. Like you said, tough loss against TCU. We were there on the field, much different than high school. I thought that was such a cool experience to be down there regardless of the win or loss. But
yeah, bro, you're on national television.
Do what?
You're on national television.
Yeah, we all saw you in the end zone.
Will Hammond's first touchdown run, I actually got a really close shot of him running it in. That was a really cool moment there for me. But like you said, though, in true Texas Tech fashion, I have an odd feeling we're going to give them their first loss this year. Iowa State barely won against UCF 38-35. I believe they had a 48-second drive, like 11 or 80 yards or something like that, and then ended up coming back and winning it. They lost my train of thought there. They have that. They're on their bye week this week, and honestly, in true fashion, like I said, I think they'll beat. Well, I don't really know. The ranked team's a little tough here, but
you pick Texas Tech. You stick with it. Come on, Nick.
Do what?
All right. Well, but anyway, I think that Taj Brooks also has a chance to break the all-time Texas Tech leading rusher record this week. He's about 135, 140 yards short right now. It's going to take a huge game from him, but it is possible. But go Red Raiders this weekend.
All right, and moving on, ASU. Let's talk about them.
Yeah, it's their biggest game of the season. You know, top 2 teams in the conference, Central Washington coming here. They're number 17 in the nation. It's a pretty awesome matchup. You know, 2 top 10 defenses in the country. ASU's number 6, Central Washington's number 9. Both offenses scoring over 30 points a game. I mean, it really just doesn't get a whole lot better for a game here in San Angelo. And if ASU can get past them, they still got Western Oregon next week, which will be another one, and they got to go all the way to Oregon for that. But this is the big one here. If ASU gets past them, they're completely in the driver's seat for the title in the Lone Star Conference.
One thing that is reassuring in this matchup, Central Washington dropped to UTPB
right
in a game that ASU absolutely dominated on the road. So hopefully that Central Washington team shows up. It's a long road trip.
It is a long road trip. That's crazy that the Lone Star Conference has a team that's near the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, that UTPB game's crazy. ASU knocked out UTPB's quarterback in first quarter. They never recovered from that. Maybe it's different if he stays in there, but that's football, you know, and that's that Rams defense. So we'll see what happens.
Speaking of that Rams defense, you think is good enough to go somewhere?
I really do, man. They even the touchdowns they've allowed have been in the fourth quarter. I mean, they just have completely dominated, and that's at all 3 levels, you know. So I mean, to me, they really have a chance to make a real run at the national final, which is here in Texas this year in McKinney.
Well, and it seemed like after they figured out the quarterback situation after the first 2 losses, the first 2 weeks, it's like they were working out the kinks, you know, that maybe that defense didn't respond well to that cancellation in week 1, you know, and they haven't played the next day. But ever since then, you know, double-digit victories, you know. So, like, I do think that the Rams have a shot. If they just keep playing the way they've been playing, like, I'm talking, like, make the playoffs, win a conference championship, and, you know, put on a deep run.
Right. I think that young quarterback, I think he knows, too, if I don't turn the ball over, I mean,
We're
even
good, yeah.
Yeah, we're good. Even their punter, I mean, is like number 3 in the nation in punting. So just don't turn the ball over, and you're looking pretty good.
All right, that concludes our college football talk. The weekend is incoming, and you can catch all the collegiate and pro NFL action at the Arklite Bar and Grill inside the Clarion Hotel at 441 Rio Concho Drive. The Arklite has the largest video wall in West Texas, in addition to 20 other flat-screen TVs to keep up with your alma mater, your favorite team, or keep up with all the games for your fantasy team. The Arklite Bar and Grill also has daily drink specials and specials from the kitchen. The Arklite Bar and Grill, located inside the Clarion Hotel at 441 Rio Concho Drive in San Angelo. All right, Chadwick, picks.
All right, so none of us did well in the standings last week. Lubbock Cooper losing, Lakeview losing in overtime. It was just a weird week. Bunch of close games that we missed, but Odessa High versus Central. It seems like everyone was agreeing with my opening statement about the Bobcats this week because everyone besides Ernesto was going the Central Bobcats.
All right, moving on. Big Spring and Lakeview. Chadwick, Paul, Nick, Scott, and myself are all, and Ernesto are all going Lakeview, and Lucas is going Big Spring. Why you gotta be different,
Hater,
Lucas?
Lucas.
Why you gotta be different?
He's just going with steers, man.
Well, yeah, we gotta talk about this Lubbock Cooper because you have Estacado, Reagan County, Sonora. Are you okay?
No, I've been sick this week. I guess I forgot to fill some in, but I do remember looking at the pick sheet, and I think we have one. I think it was you. Did you?
Yeah, I went.
You went Lubbock Cooper Liberty.
Gotta
Everyone
make
else
it
went,
interesting.
Yeah,
Gotta make
everyone
it
else went
interesting.
Lubbock Estacado.
All right, and Grape Creek at Merkel. Everyone's going Grape Creek. We all believe in the Creek. Go get yourself a good playoff seating. And then Robert Lee and Veribest. Everybody but Nick, it went Robert Lee. Oh, Nick and Ernesto went Veribest.
Yeah.
But hey, like you said, you got Brenner Sherwood for Robert Lee and Bryce Martin for Veribest. And let's see Veribest go out and give them a run.
Heck yeah.
I just after Robert Lee's loss last week, I just think they're gonna we're making.
I think they're a little pissed off. Yeah. All right, and let's get into final thoughts real quick. Do we have any time with Nick left, Lucas, in the top corner? All right, Nick, talk about your final thought real quick. Coronado or Lubbock High?
Final thoughts, Coronado Lubbock High. It's kind of who will win the bottom spot of the Lubbock ISD column there. We'll see how Lubbock High does against the Sandies this week, but I think Lubbock High looked good coming into the season. It's just every district play game's been rough for them. Coronado's on bye, and I think next week if Vasquez connects with Finch, Parrish, Sinek, they have, and their defense, honestly, if they look good, and they look good against the 2 games ago, they won that district game. If they just hold strong after halftime, I think they can steal this game.
Still a believer in your alumni, huh?
I have to, man.
All right, Chadwick, go ahead and take over. You got Friendship, Odessa, Permian.
Okay, so this one is basically what I thought was going to be the battle for the district championship until Midland Legacy beat Permian last week. You know, that it was a shocker to many. I spoke to the Odessa Permian coaches when I was watching Odessa High and Monterey play earlier in the season, and they did not kind of laughed off Legacy, saying they weren't the same this year. Shows what y'all know. Just got too big for your britches, and the Rebels came and got you. Anyway, Friendship at Odessa Permian. Now the Tigers have a chance to take a commanding lead in the district with a win on the road. With that being said, after Permian lost, Mojo's going to come ready to play. That defense is going to be sharp. But they're going to have to find a way to lock down the 2 receivers for the Tigers on the outside. If Permian wants to win this game, they need to run the ball, control the clock, and do not let Holden Phillips get his hands on that ball. I do think that Friendship should be favored in this one because they've proved that they can play with absolutely anyone this year. They have, even when they're down, like they found a way to pull off 1-point victories, and they have multiple instances of that this year. So while it's a road game for Friendship, I do think that they should be the favorite in this one. But I mean, it's Mojo. They're going to be a pain in your butt no matter what you do. So it's going to be a great game.
Well, you want to keep Holden Phillips off the field, you hand the ball to Gavin Black.
Exactly.
All right, Paul, we got Rochelle and Richland Springs. This is like historic matchup, man.
Well, you know, I think heading into the year with Rochelle being ranked number 11 and Richland Springs number 2, it was a lot more exciting then. Rochelle's, they've struggled a little bit in some big games, losses to Water Valley, May, you know, that they got 45 by both of them. And so I don't know that they can hang with Richland Springs this year. Was kind of hoping to see the Coyotes get tested a little bit because they've just owned that district for so long, you know. But it is a district title game. It is a big rivalry. They're just down the road from each other. Rochelle hadn't beaten them, I think, in over 30 years, so every year it's like, maybe this is the year. I don't know that this is just yet. But we'll see. And Richton Springs, number 2 in the state, they look like they're a serious threat to win state title number 10. We'll see.
And we also have Ballinger and Coleman, right?
Can't forget Ballinger. That's my town. I think
they're a really capable team this year too.
I think they are. Their defense has really stepped up in a big way. They've got a good running offense, and this should be for 3rd place in the district. Coleman had a 14-6 win over Heiko last week, and I think it should be competitive. Coleman was considerably better than Ballinger last year, but like I said, Ballinger's made huge strides. I think it'll be a close game in Ballinger, and the winner will have the inside track to 3rd place.
All right, and my final thought: the All Cover 1 team returns. I know we kind of took a year off last year, but Paul and I were talking about Muad'Dib and I were talking about it yesterday, and we are returning the All Cover 1 team. So, coaches, get your nominations ready. And I know it's kind of weird, but parents, say you want to throw your kid's name out there, maybe you might not get a look at him. Go ahead and throw his name out there.
And we cannot pick players if we don't have stats for them.
Absolutely, we cannot put your player on the team if we don't have anything. That was the thing. The one year we did it, we kept saying, "Well, where's this school? Where's this school?" We didn't get anything. So, hey, we are returning it this year. So, start getting your nominations ready. But for the Cover 1 team, I guess, for Ryan Chadwick, Paul Harris, Nick Thompson, I'm James Bouligny. We'll see you at halftime, and stick around for the post-game show. Until then.